Hey, welcome back. All right, so now we're going to start in on our last tutorial for the doors. And this one actually might spill over into being two, maybe three additional tutorial videos because, again, I'm trying to keep them around 15, 20, 30 minutes at the absolute max for tutorial. And this one's going to be a little bit more complicated because there's several things we're going to do. So what we've done up to this point is we've got a door set up that is interactive. Our player can roll up to the door, hit the E key, and the door will open, hit the E key again, and the door will close. So now it's interactive. We're going to add on to it a check to make sure that a player has a key that's assigned to that door to be able to open and close the door. And then we're also going to set up the player HUD so that there's a graphic representation that the player has that particular key they need. So let me go ahead and walk you through a demonstration real quick so you see what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's the scene. If I hit play, I can walk up to the door or roll up to the door. If I hit E, it tells me I need a key. This one needs the gold key. The one next to it will need a silver key, or a copper key rather. So if I roll up to it and hit it, you see it needs a copper key. Back here are the blueprint versions for those three keys. I have a gold key, a silver key, and a copper key. So if I pick up the gold key, I can go back and I can open up that slider door. And it'll open. I can press E again and it'll close. Now if I go to the copper door, it won't open because I don't have the right key. So I need to go back over and pick up the copper key and pick that up and open it. Now back here are the models. I've made them very large, so it's a little bit easier to see the keys. But these are the models that I made. It's one model, 6 different materials. I have this available for free in Fab. I'll show you where to get it here in just a second. That's what I'm going to use in this tutorial. If you want to follow along with me, you can do that. Of course, you can use any set of model keys that you wish in order to do this. But these are at least get you started. Okay, so let's take a look at the blueprints real quick. The first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to need to go to our player and we're going to set it up so that we add these 3 booleans down here to do a check to make sure the player has the key. Those 3 booleans are what's going to drive the HUD to make sure that these turn on. So once we have the key, then these will populate, and it will also make it so that when it does the check here on the door, it knows that we have the key so that it'll open it, and if we don't, it'll push you down into this blueprint to tell you which key you need. The very first thing we're going to do after we update the player is we're going to create the blueprint for the keys themselves, and it's a very simple blueprint. It's just going to be basically a model with a kaleidoscope over it, and then we're going to do a check. We're going to make sure that we turn on whether the player has that key, and then, of course, make the sound, the emitter, and then destroy the key. So a very quick, easy blueprint to make. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to download the model for the keys and make sure everything's ready. Now, those are in Fab, and inside of Fab, if you typed in old style key, I think that's what it was. And of course, Fab's not working. Oh, oops, hit the right button. Oh, you know, actually, it's old key set. My bad. So let's try that. Old key set. So we type in old key set. It'll be this one right here. This is put together by me. And we can click on it and we can add to project. And then it'll download and it'll show up in your projects. So in your content folder in Fab old key set. And this will be the material and the key for each one of these. It's a GLB, so it should be all ready to go. You don't have to do anything to make the materials on it or anything like that. It should be all set. There is one additional step that we need to do. Now, before I do this, I'm going to do a save all so that if it crashes, which it just did a minute ago, it won't lose whatever we just did. And now the other thing we need to do is we're going to need to go actually into your browser, so your internet browser, and you're going to need to find that same key. So old key set, and I'll put the link down in the bottom in the description. So when we get here, you're going to need to click on download. And download, you can also download these models. So if you're not going to use this in Unreal Engine, you're going to use it in something else, or you want it for something else, you can download it. Several different model formats here, well, GLBs and GLTFs, and then also USDZ. But what we're actually after is this additional files down here. These are key image zip. And if you download it, you click the download, it's going to go into your downloads folder. And it'll just be all 6 of these keys without a background, so we can use them as the key model or the key image for our UI for our player HUD. Okay, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to go to downloads, and we can just open up that folder in your content browser, and then we can just click and drag and drop those in the same folder here. Actually, I don't want to put it in that one. I want to put it in the top level one. Just drop it right into there. And there we have it. Now the key images are in here as well. And all 6 of those are in there. Do a file, save all. Okay, so now we've got the models. And we've got the image to go along with those models. Let's go ahead and go to our sandbox, back into our content browser, into content, into blueprints. We're going to set up our player real quick. So open up your player blueprint. And then over here on the left-hand side, what we're going to do is we're going to hit the plus button. And we're going to get a Boolean. And we're just going to say has gold key. Okay. And we're going to open the little eyeball up on that one. And then we're going to also say another one. We're going to say has silver key. And then the last one will be the same thing, and it'll be has copper key. And if you're going to name your keys differently, you can do that as well. Okay, so something like that. I'm going to open up the eye on all these. So now our player has the booleans that we're going to need to reference in our key blueprints. I'm going to do a file, save all. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my content drawer, up to the blueprints level, and then here in pickups, I'm going to make a new folder, and I'm just going to call this one keys. Go into that folder. I'm going to right click, make a blueprint class. It's going to be an actor, just a regular actor, because we're going to interact with it, but it's going to not do much else. So we're just going to select actor. We're going to call this BP underscore. I'm going to call this first one gold key. Okay, so BP gold key. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to save it. So the first thing I need to do is I need to add a sphere. So I'm going to add a collision sphere. So if I type in sphere, sphere collision will pop in right there. That's the one we're going to want. I'm going to hit enter. Now for this sphere, we are going to scale it up. So if you click the little lock right here, we're going to scale it up to 1.5. And then we're going to make sure that down here at the bottom for collision presets, it should be set to overlap all dynamic. And that should be good. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in a static mesh. Or what you could do is you can go in and find the gold key, which is going to be under Fab, old key set. And then I'm going to use a gold key for this one. Again, you can do whatever. It's called green gold key, static mesh. And if you just click and drag and drop it on the sphere, it'll make it appear right there. And it's going to be kind of small. So what I'm going to do for the scale on it is I'm going to make it, after I select it, go back here, make this 1.5 because that's what it's supposed to be. Go back to this one. I'm going to make this one 2 so that it's large enough to be seen. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to add rotation. So we're going to add rotating movement. I'm just going to hit enter. I'm going to go back and select the key. And on the key, like I said, we're going to make sure that it's 2. And for the collision, it should have no collision on it. So we want no collision because we don't want the player to bounce off of it. And that should be it. We're going to compile and save it. Go back to the sphere. And for the sphere, we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. And right here, we want on component begin overlap. And for the on component begin overlap, what we're going to do is we're going to first make sure that what we're overlapping with is the player. So we can pull off from here, and we're just going to get a branch. So we're going to do a true or false check. And we're also going to right click, and we're going to get player pawn. So in order to be able to do a check, we want to make sure that we have the player pawn. And we're going to drag off from other actor, and we're going to just hit the equals button, and we're going to get equal. So our float equal. And then I'm going to just connect those two up so it should look like this. And then we're going to plug into that. And then if the other actor is the player, we're going to go ahead and get player. Because if it is the actor, then we want this to happen. So remember under our BPFL, so our blueprint function list that we made way back at the very beginning of this tutorial series, we're going to get a reference to our player right here. And since we've added in has gold key, we're going to pull that up and find set, because we want to set that they have the gold key. So once they bump into this and the overlap happens, we want to say, yes, they now have the gold key, because we're going to pick that gold key up. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to spawn a sound at this location. So we're going to spawn sound at location. And what location is that going to be? Well, that's going to be this actor, so the key actor's position. So we're going to right click. We're going to get actor location. And we're going to plug that into there. And what are we going to spawn? The sound that I've been using is the coins 1, 2. So if I do a little search here, actually a little, hit the down arrow. There we go. So we're going to type in coins underscore 1, 2. And we're going to use the 1, 2 Q right here. Now, this is that set that we downloaded when we started making the doors and getting sound effects. This is that same set. It came with a bunch of different game sounds in it. So this is the one we're going to get. And if I hit the little search button here, you can see that those are the items and sounds, interface and items and sounds kit that we got back here in the sound set, right? So when we downloaded that one. So that's that sound we're going to use. And it should sound something like this. Now you can use a different sound, obviously, if you wish. All right. And then the other thing is we're going to use an emitter that we've already been using too. So remember the particle set. So we're going to spawn emitter. So we're going to use an emitter. So this is not a system. It's not Niagara. This is a particle system. Okay. So we're going to do spawn emitter at location. And the location is going to be the same where the actor is at. And the emitter that I'm using, that little red one that I use that kind of makes that little circle pop up, is P underscore KY. And then it should be magic underscore magic. There we go. Circle 1. So it should be this little red circle looking thing right here. We're going to leave everything else default. And then the very last thing we're going to do is we're going to destroy actor. And the actor that we're going to destroy, this one is self, so it's this blueprint right here that we're using, this one that we just created. So now if I go back into my sandbox, grab out in our content folder our blueprints, our interactables, and for our not interactables, for our pickups keys, I'm going to grab this key out and I'm going to drag it up just a little bit. Okay. Did I get the right key for that? I did. Okay. All right. So now if I hit play, Go back to sandbox, hit play. Whew, long day already. So it's rotating like it's supposed to. Now I'm gonna stop myself. I'm gonna hit F8. Again, select the outliner, find my player, and then go back to details if your details aren't already up. And now if I hit F8 again, go back to my outliner, go back to my detail. Oh, come on. There we go. Now I should be able to, all right, so I should be able to now roll up to the key and pick it up. And over in the details section, you should see that a little check mark has just populated where it says has gold key. So now we know we have it. That's what these are for. When we set them up with the eye open, we can see them inside of our details section. The little aura there is kind of hovering off the ground, so that's not really where I want it. And then the other thing is that it doesn't seem to be going away. A couple things we're going to have to do then in order to kind of fix the appearance of the little particle that we want for our key to being picked up, right? It didn't go away, it just kind of sat there. So what we need to do is when we go back into our key, if we go here and hit the little search button, it's going to take us to where we have our magic circle right there. So I'm going to hit Control D, and then at the end of circle 2, I'm going to just type in and call this mod, and now it's going to be modded. So I'm going to double click and open it up. What's happening is when we take a look at these 7 little nodes here across the top that make up this particle so that it kind of appears the way it does, and if you click in here, you hold the Alt button, the left mouse button, you can kind of move it around a little bit to see what it looks like. What we want to do is we want to make it so that it doesn't have a lifetime. This just keeps running and running and running and running. We want to set it so that it only loops one time. The way we can do that is if we click on the little required yellow button right here at the very top and select the Gunsmoke one and scroll down, see right here where it says emitter loops 0? When it says 0, that means that it is going to loop continuously, so it's never going to stop. Once you make it, bring it into the world, it's going to stay. We don't want that. We only want it to stay very briefly. So it says 0, we're going to change that to 1. And make it 1, and that's why we modded this. Okay, we're going to mod this so that it doesn't change the original one, because you may want to do something else with it, right? But each one of these requireds, we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to go in and change this to 1 for every single one of these. And then we're going to save it. And now we're going to go back to our gold key. And if we hit this down arrow, now we'll see that we have not only our Magic Circle 1, but we have our Magic Circle mod that we just made, right? So I'm going to save that. And then compile and save it. And let's go ahead and test that out real quick. So if I hit play, this time we're just going to roll right up to it and see what happens. Now it pops in the world and it disappears just like it's supposed to. Okay, so the reason why, oh, that's why, because I have the key like hovering way off the ground. So if I push the key down a little bit, so the sphere is actually appearing kind of in the middle point of where the key's at. So you can see if I push it down, it goes down a little bit. And we can kind of control how that appears in the world there. We could also what we could do is we could make it so that our default scene root is at the very bottom of where our sphere is at. So I grab the sphere and drag it up. I can change it so that somewhere right around, I think it's 45, in the z-axis, it'll raise up the sphere. I can compile and save this. Now if I go back into the scene root, you see that the scene root is down at the bottom and my key is actually kind of floating up above the ground like I want it. And if I hit play and now move forward, that appears on the ground because that's where the scene root's at. Okay, so for this tutorial, we're pretty much done, except for one last little note that I'm going to talk about here real quick. If we go back into our content drawer, into our blueprints, to our pickups, now for the keys, we're going to want to make 3 of these, right? So we're just going to do a Control D, and we're going to duplicate, and this one is going to be silver key, or whatever key you're going to call it. And then we're going to duplicate it again. And this one's going to be copper key. All right, so if I open up the copper key one, because that one's in the first position now, go back here. I'm going to rename this from green key to copper key. And then what I'm going to do is right here, I'm going to hit the down arrow. So it says green key. I'm going to type in copper key. And copper key, red copper key should pop up. And I'm going to select it and compile it. And now right here, instead of has gold key, we're going to need to change this to has. So we're going to find set has copper key. And if we take a look at our viewport, everything should be the same, except now we have the copper key in there. And I can drag out the copper key. Okay, so just to make sure that you've got everything all set up, since I kind of left you hanging a little bit, let's go ahead and revisit this real quick. So it should be red copper key. I typed it in wrong when I did my demo. And then right here, don't forget to put the little check mark in to say that you're setting it. And then for the silver key, it should be, this one's the purple silver key, or you could just call it silver key. And then don't forget to put the check mark in once you change the set. So remember, you drag off from here and type in silver, and it'll give you a choice for get or set. We want the set silver key. All right. And then once you pull them into the world, you should be able to test it just the same way as we did with the gold key. All right, so real quick, once we start it, don't forget, if you hit F8, go to Outliner, select your player. BP player 0 is the one that has spawned. And then if you hit F8 again, everything's going to kind of disappear on you. So click the player 0 again, go back into here, and then click in the scene. And now if you go up and try each one of these out, you should be able to populate all 3 of those, and it says that you have all of them, so we're good to go. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial. We're running right around the 20-minute, 25-minute mark, so we're going to go ahead and stop here. In the next tutorial, we're going to get our player HUD set up. It's going to require a little bit of writing on some blueprints and getting all the images and everything in there, so it's probably going to take up the full time, and then we'll finish everything up in the 3rd tutorial. All right, so again, if you have any questions, please put them down in the comments section. I'll get back to you. Don't forget to like this so that you help me out. And don't forget to subscribe so you can kind of follow along with what we're doing with the next tutorials come out. All right, thanks for playing, and I will see you next time.